Welcome to the Hankamer School of Business. My name is Krista Howell and I'm the Assistant Dean here in the Business School. Students, I am actually going to be one of your professors this fall for Business 1101, Connecting to the Hankamer School of Business. This module is about the first year requirements as well as admission to the business school, so let's get started. Now, on the first year requirements, you will see on here the courses that you are going to have to complete within the first year. And first year means fall, spring, and summer if you have to go into summer, but we prefer that you finish everything by the end of spring. You can see the courses are Business 1101, that's the course that I teach, as well as Business 1201, Business 1350, Calculus, and English 1310, the research writing class. Now students, those courses, you must have a minimum grade of C in those courses to be able to progress in the business school. However, overall, you need a 3.0 GPA. A 3.0 GPA is a B average, but with those courses, what we understand is that some of them may be more difficult for you than others. And so let's take example, calculus. If you are not the best at calculus, then you may just earn a C in that class, but then you're going to have an A in another 3-hour course to be able to offset that. So those are the courses and the grade requirements that you need. Now, the 3.0 GPA is a minimum. Students, you are not shooting for a 3.0 GPA. You're shooting for a much higher GPA that first semester, and I will see that sometimes 4.0s that very first semester, because the courses that you're taking that first semester are usually the least difficult of the ones that you're going to be taking in the business school during the 4 years that you are here. Now, you also must have a minimum 24 Baylor credit hours. So those are hours just at Baylor. They are not including your AP credit or maybe courses that you have transferred in for dual credit. So that's a minimum of 12 hours in the fall and 12 hours in the spring. Now you have to meet all of those requirements to be able to stay in the business school in the BBA degree after your first year here. And let me tell you why. We admit students into the business school during their junior year, so once they reach 60 hours. All of you start out as pre-business students your freshman and sophomore year. I like the fact that Baylor, in the business school, they admit you based on your college performance instead of your high school performance. But you will be doing your very best during those freshman and sophomore year to be able to be admitted at that 60-hour mark. And we had students who were reaching the 60-hour mark and they did not have the GPA needed to be admitted into the business school. So we started studying those students, and we realized that they didn't have it their first year in the business school, and we were expecting them to go into harder business classes their sophomore year and bring up their GPA. That is why we have those first year requirements, because we want to make sure that you're in a major where your God-given talents are being used and where you can be very successful. So let's move on to admission into the business school. That's going to happen at your junior year, just like we talked about, and at 60 hours. And you can see the courses here that you're going to be taking your sophomore year. So do you see how they're going to get more difficult? You're going to have 2 accounting classes, 2 economics classes, and a statistics class, that is QBA. Now you also have a career management class, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the other modules. But you have to maintain that 3.0 minimum GPA to be able to take those sophomore level business courses. So we just want you to do your very best, and like I said, make sure that you're trying to shoot for the highest GPA possible your first year. So just in case when you get to your sophomore year, if your GPA dips just a little bit, you stay above that 3.0 minimum in the business school. Let me talk with you about the course retake policy in the business school. These are all of the courses needed to be admitted to the business school your junior year. You must have a minimum C average in those courses along with the minimum 3.0 cumulative GPA that we already talked about. Now, when we were studying students who were not making the GPA their junior year, they were oftentimes retaking courses over and over again. A retake is a C- or lower in a course. Most of you have never had pluses or minuses in your high school grades, but you will have those when you get here. So if you were to earn a C- or lower in one of these courses, you would have to retake it. Now students, most of you will never retake one of these classes. So I don't want you to come in thinking you're automatically going to be retaking classes. But if you do have to retake one, you can only retake it one time, and you cannot retake more than 2 of these courses on this list in order to stay in the BBA degree. Once again, we want you to be where you are being very successful, and we do not want you to have to retake courses in your major. Students, let's talk about how the students did before you. I like to kind of know the statistics behind things. And so if you look over the last few years, you can see that we have about 850 freshmen that start in the BBA degree every year. On average, about 13% of those will change out of the BBA degree on their own. And so they may have been doing well and just decided business was not interesting to them, or they may not have been doing well at all and they decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and change majors now and not stay in a full first year. Now, of those that stayed, 60% have met the first year requirements by the end of the spring, and that is actually your goal. We would like for you to not have to go into summer, and that way you can enjoy your summer between your freshman and sophomore year. But for those who did not finish it by the end of the spring, and that was 27% of the students, then some of them were just missing courses. They had the 3.0 GPA that they needed, but they wanted to go take one of the courses elsewhere, maybe at a junior college, and bring it back in. And so we're assuming that those students were going to make it each time and move on to the sophomore level classes. The next level of student, they did not have the 3.0 GPA needed. Therefore, they were going to have to take Baylor Summer School to be able to bring their GPA up to the minimum 3.0, because the only way that you can change your GPA at Baylor is to actually take courses at Baylor. So they were actually taking Baylor Summer School courses to meet the requirements that they needed. And then the last group actually went over the excessive retake policy. So I feel like the business school was just not the right place for them. Now, students, this is where it gets fun. Admission to the business school. Some of you are going to love accounting, and you're going to be an accounting major. And some of you are going to love economics, and you're going to be an economics major. And then some of you are not going to particularly enjoy those sophomore level classes. But you're going to understand that someday you're going to be sitting in a boardroom, and you want to understand what the accountants are talking about. But this is where you get to pick your major, and you can start in the major classes that you have chosen. And so you have to have at least 60 hours to be admitted, a minimum 3.0 cumulative Baylor GPA, all of these courses with a C or higher, and then a minimum of 12 Baylor hours. That's for transfer students. And that's when you will sit down with your advisor and you will pick your major or majors and talk through what is the best majors for you. Students, you are in for an opportunity of a lifetime. Make sure that you have reviewed all of the modules that are on our website prior to your advising appointment, and I will see you in the fall semester in Business 1101. Sic 'em Bears.